up everyone? You already know the drill, right? Finishing off these Smash 4 characters. This time we got all the DLC characters that are newcomers to Smash 4. So, starting off we got Ryu. So when fighting this character, if you recognize, you can punch his Hadoukens. That's a big deal in the matchup. Let me try to do it. It's actually really easy to just challenge the Hadoukens because they're pretty slow. Even like the fast Hadouken is slow enough that you can be like, oh, you're Hadoukening and you're not point blank. Let me just hit that. And because Ryu is not fast, he doesn't punish people for doing that well. If it's a slow Hadouken, he can like kind of like follow up on it, but even though he's super slow without great hitboxes, so he doesn't handle people punching through Hadouken well. Even things like Shinkatsu, whatever it's called, let's see if I can do it. Even this one can generally be just hit and nullified if I don't stink at timing it. So yeah, keep that in mind. Negate his like main zoning tool, negate away he pressures you. He just can't angle Hadoukens up. You can't do much like versatile stuff with him. So once you do that, he's just a slow, low range character that's very scary if he gets hidden. So that point's up to you to just not let a character like that get close. I will say one last thing actually. Don't swing too wildly though if he's not doing much, because Side B, Tatsumaki, will punch through a lot of stuff pretty well. As like Trample, I think, and I think like Invincibility and the likes. This is honestly gonna sound like a scrub quotes thing or something, but versus Ken, don't even bother shielding really. This I'm not gonna be able to show well at all, so don't expect much from me, but like this character like destroys shields, right? Like absolutely body shields. To the point that when you're fighting Ken, unless you're shielding like very specific things that you know he can't like follow up on, I don't even bother shielding in this matchup. His like burst scheme with like this move can be challenged pretty well. Like if Dash Attack isn't that good, this move is really easy to challenge. It doesn't have like Ryu's like trample property. His jump is of much range. Like really, you should be able to space him out and run away pretty consistently versus him, despite his decent movement speed. And even when he hits you, you can generally SDI a lot of his stuff either in, if he's super close to make it not connect properly. If he's doing things like this, you can generally like SDI like that. I think you can SDI that one down and away. Then there's some stuff you can like SDI in. Man, I wish I could explain it better, but I very rarely see this character. But trust me, if you ever fight a Ken player, just ask him like, how do you SDI the combos? And assuming they're not being mean, they're like, oh, you just do this, and you can make things like that combo into Shiryu significantly less effective. But just to reiterate once again, do not shield much versus this character. He will blow up shields, and you don't want that happening. So in fighting Cloud, you have to exploit the fact that his ground moves are all pretty punishable. Like, this move is probably the least punishable. It's decently safe. Like, this move, unless it's spaced like max range on block, is pretty punishable generally. This move, punishable on block unless spaced max range. This move, punishable on block unless it's like super close so you can cross up like far from you. Like, all this stuff, unless it's spaced like at max range, is pretty punishable. So keep that in mind. That's actually a big part of fighting Cloud, because that's why Cloud players are kind of forced to jump around and look for a lot of aerials, because those are where his safe moves are. And even then, all of his aerials have pretty high startup. So it's kind of like fighting Greninja if you watch that video, where you have to recognize that like, hey, he has to do an aerial at a certain height or it won't come out at all. And as a result, his timings and spacings become really like linear, and good parries go a long way versus him. You're not gonna get big punishes off the parries, but doing things like parry into like a quick jab or a quick tilt is a very reliable strategy versus him. Finally, try to bait out his up Bs, because when you are like fighting him, he's gonna be doing those slides. He's gonna be like, okay, I'm looking like I'm gonna swing, look like I'm gonna attack, suddenly run up shield, hit my shield, up B. And if you hit his shield and know he's gonna up B and just bait it out, you can hard punish him. Or if you know he's fishing for an up B, you can run up and grab him because he's waiting for something to hit his shield so you can go, oh, my shield got hit, up B. And you can get big punishes off that. Like if you roll behind this, or if you just back off a little bit like this, the end leg of this move isn't that much, sadly, but it's enough that if you're outside the range of it in the first place, you can destroy him for it. Even if he does like this and tries drifting, he can't drift too far. I'd say just make sure not to like charge or smash, in case he like drifts away from the smash charge. So when it comes to fighting Corrin, never, and I mean never underestimate how big her hitboxes actually are. Like, they're a lot bigger than you might think. And as a result, they're very the challenge unless you're playing a DLC character. But because of her poor mobility, she kind of has the Mario syndrome, where she mostly wants you to corner yourself by threatening you, and then she can reliably hit you, right? So that means you have like a few chances to kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna go in now between her attacks, or I'm gonna outspace you here, or I'm gonna punish this or parry that. Like, because she has to kind of force you to the corner, she's kind of slow. You have to accept at some point you have to deal with these massive attacks, unless you can like jump around her. But you don't want to just straight up like challenge her buttons, because even for like a swordy, she's particularly hard to challenge. Largely because a lot of her attacks have really like nice lingers, or very nice arcs, or generally just both, or that's just backward, which goes extremely far and it's hard to punish. But yeah, if you have like things that like can just pressure to approach in uncomfortable ways, like projectiles, or if you get in her face, she can't exploit that range too well. As for his, I use the same exact stage for the past 3 videos. Oh well. It's a very nice looking stage. When fighting Bayonetta, you want to stay grounded, because this move is super punishable on block. So a lot of times they want you to jump so they can do like this and catch you, or they want you to be like at this range. Because aerial side B is a really good move. It doesn't have too much lag, at least a lot of combos. And like it's just overall like a huge part of a gameplay. Do things like this especially, you see a lot from Bayos. But if you stay grounded, and actually a lot of characters can use their crouch as well in this matchup, specifically to avoid this move. Like in Smash 4 as well, this was one of those things I've used a lot versus Bayos where I just crouch versus them. And something like that's gonna whiff, right? And that's a big deal in the matchup. And once you stay grounded and make her recognize she can't jump you with side Bs like that, her approach game isn't that great. She has to kind of commit to just like not great moves. The only thing she really has to like scare you is like just running up and like down being to bait you out for trying to like swing too much. But if you have even a hint she might do this, just slightly delaying your attacks in case she does that and punishing her is a big deal. Also, another fun thing in the matchup is that because of Bats Within, she actually, during her rolls and stuff, let me check the exact number, but I believe it's like for the first 6 or so frames during roll, spot dodge, she cannot avoid grabs. Yes, Bats Within means she cannot avoid grabs for the first 6 frames of roll, spot dodge, and even for air dodge, she cannot avoid grabs until frame 5 with them. So she's extra vulnerable to that. If you have like a really nice tether grab like Samus, that's a huge problem for her. And with that said, guys, that is all these Smash 4 characters. And catch you all for the next video where I'll make sure I have a different stage background.